to the campus of the University of Notre Dame, where tonight, the 5th-ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish open the 2022 season in an out-of-conference showdown against the Titans from Detroit Mercy. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Grant Delvecchio alongside Brian Benedict. And Brian, with each passing year, the sport of lacrosse continues to expand and grow. This year is no different. Detroit Mercy, first season in the newly formed Atlantic Sun Conference.
The ASUN is back after a hiatus since 2013. You gotta love to see that when it comes to the sport of lacrosse.
Meanwhile, on the other side of things for Notre Dame, they remain a blue blood program in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and they're coming off of their 15th straight trip to the NCAA tournament.
Last season, 4 of those losses came by a total of 5 goals. So a lot of heartbreaking finishes for the Irish. At the same time, 7 of 8 of their top goal scorers are back this year on the offensive end.
Notre Dame eventually fell in the NCAA quarterfinals, 14-13 in overtime to eventual national runners-up Maryland. But one face the Irish are ecstatic to have back is their junior goaltender, Liam Entenmann. He was one of the best goalies in the nation a season ago statistically, and he's back for more.
He had an elite season last year, and Coach Corrigan said that right now he's playing with a lot of confidence. In having only one starting defender back for the Irish this year, that will be big for Entenmann to step up this year.
Entenmann and the Irish defense will certainly have their hands full defending the likes of grad student Brett Erskine for the Titans. Erskine ranks top 10 in program history all-time at Detroit Mercy in points, goals, and assists.
Erskine is a dynamic player. He finishes both from the inside and from the outside. But Coach Colin actually shared that he is just a wonderful human being and a great leader for this young team.
Erskine has started 39 games in his career for Detroit Mercy. He's already got 3 goals on this season as we are just about set for opening face-off. It's Will Lynch for Notre Dame, and the Irish are going to start the 2022 season with possession. This is the season opener for Notre Dame. Detroit Mercy has already played 2 games. They lost both of them. First one, an 18-7 loss to Ohio State, and next a 21-5 deficit to Michigan. First look at the Irish offense, it's Pat Cavanaugh. Sends it over to his brother, Chris Cavanaugh. 2 Cavanaugh brothers starting at attack for Notre Dame. Now here's the sophomore Dobson inside for Cavanaugh, and Chris Cavanaugh scores his first goal in an Irish uniform, and it gets Notre Dame on the board in 2022.
Talk about a great start for the freshman. Dobson just dodges down the center of the field. You see Chris Cavanaugh able to find the space towards the center and then finishes it and does the rest.
What a start for Notre Dame. What a start for Chris Cavanaugh, the freshman, number 4 overall recruit per Inside Lacrosse. The younger brother of Pat Cavanaugh, currently on the team, and former Notre Dame standout Matt Cavanaugh. And the Cavanaugh legacy continues here in South Bend, as there's a shot on goal, but it's saved by Jacob Hemme. Max Shallett went for goal, but Hemme was there for the stop, and now Detroit Mercy controls possession for the first time this evening.
And that's a nice save by Hemme as well. When those shots come from a long stick midi, especially in an unsettled situation, it can be tough to get a read. So after letting one quick goal in, Hemme saves that one.
Hemme is coming off of a 28 save performance in the loss to Michigan that tied a school record at Detroit Mercy. Here's Luke Majic for the Titans. Sends it over to Ryan Burney. Burney is guarded by the short stick Ryan Hallenbeck for Notre Dame. And now Will Idell works on Nick Harris. Idell trying to turn the corner. Lets a shot fly. It was off the mark, but Detroit Mercy recovers. Entenmann went on the run for it. Now here's Erskine. Erskine lets it rip. I believe it clipped the post, but then went on the outside of the net, and Entenmann able to clean it up.
Yeah, Entenmann was standing tall on the pipe. Erskine was running out of room on an angle as well, so the shot ended up just wide.
Dobson carries it over midfield for the Irish. Notre Dame has fared well in season openers all time and under head coach Kevin Corrigan. In the Corrigan era, Notre Dame 28-5 all time in season openers, and in home openers even better, 30-3. Dobson gets open, saved by Hemme, picked up by Kavanaugh, working on the crease. Now Kavanaugh surveys, back to Dobson, another save by Hemme. Hemme trying to clear, ball was loose, and they're going to call Griffin Westland for contact on Hemme.
Hemme with two more big saves, especially with Dobson from the outside. He likes shooting from that distance, and he can finish.
Burney sends it back to 12 Majic, and the Titans will work it around. $12 goals combined for Detroit Mercy in their first two games of the season. Erskine getting pestered by Quinn McCann. Irish get a deflection, but Will Idell is there for the Titans. Now a shot on net, stopped by Entenmann. Ball still loose. Nolan Grallman put that shot on net, but Entenmann able to turn it away. Remains 1-0 Irish, approaching 5 minutes gone by in this first quarter. And it's a turnover from Detroit Mercy. Carter Parlett, the sophomore, full head of steam for Notre Dame, fakes a pass, then sent one on net, intended for Pat Kavanaugh. And the talented long pole for Detroit Mercy, Manuzik, comes away with it. Now the Titans will work to clear. They've got a 62% clear rate on the season. Here's Ryan Figueres, grad student. Dished it out wide. Now Galatly up top with it. Over to Figueres. Try to set up the give and go. Figueres looked like he had an opening, but untimely pass, and Notre Dame comes away with it. Jason Reynolds, a grad transfer on this Notre Dame roster, carries it over midfield. And now Notre Dame will settle it. 35, the freshman, Ben Ramsey, on the field for the Irish. Now here's Griffin Westland sporting a new number. Lets one rip, and Hemme there for the denial.
And that dodge by Westland, he was able to get by the defender and have enough time to come back to his left hand without having a trail check there. But Hemme again is just coming up with a big save and really stopping the ball any way possible early on.
And when you look at the first two games for Detroit Mercy, you see the 39 goals given up. You say, well, probably not the best goalie play, but Hemi has more saves than he has goals given up through those first two games. He's been playing strong.
And as a freshman, it's big to have a game like this where you can start with those saves. You get an eye on the ball. You gain some confidence yourself to come up with some more saves.
Erskine trying to find an opening. Nothing doing.
It looks like Notre Dame is actually having a short stick guard Erskine, and earlier they slid pretty quickly.
Erskine lets one fly, and it's saved by Entenmann. Great outlet pass to Ronan Doherty. Doherty over to Chris Kavanaugh, back to Doherty. And Doherty smartly dumps it off to Nick Harris. One of the short stick defensive midfielders on this Irish roster.
Both teams doing a great job right now settling down and getting some subs in instead of pushing in an unsettled situation like there.
Here is Chris Kavanaugh, the freshman. Scored Notre Dame's first goal less than a minute into this contest. Now Riley Gray, the lefty, drives in, shoots, and scores. Riley Gray gives Notre Dame a 2-0 lead. Stay with us.
I need big king, big king. I need two.
On the flame grilled stacker saucy Big King taste you love is now on the
2, 4, 5
for a limited time. USAA is made for the safe pilots. For Mac, who can come to a stop with barely a bobble. Lucia, who announces her intentions even if no one's there. And Sergeant Moore, who leaves room for her room. With USAA Safe Pilot, when you drive safe, you can save up to 30% on your auto insurance. Get a quote and start saving. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
There's a look at Detroit Mercy head coach Chris Colin, who has continued to develop this program in each new season as the head coach. Played his college lacrosse at Rutgers before earning his MBA at Detroit Mercy. And Brian, all three winning seasons for Detroit Mercy have Chris Colin at the helm.
And that's not much of a surprise. I mean, when we even talked to him earlier today, you can tell he's a player's coach where he can get along with the guys that at the same time is competitive and wants to make sure that they win.
Meanwhile, on the opposite sideline for Notre Dame, head coach Kevin Corrigan in his 34th season as head coach of the Fighting Irish, and no coach in the country has more wins at one school than Kevin Corrigan does for the Irish.
And when we spoke with him too, Grant, he was even saying on Kavanaugh's side of it, when you look at Kavanaugh, Pat that is, there's not much more you can say about his play than what's already been said. And I say that's the same sentiment towards Coach Corrigan and what he's done at Notre Dame and for college lacrosse as a whole.
Pat Kavanaugh wearing 51 in white for Notre Dame. Last season was a Tewaaraton finalist, the fourth ever in Notre Dame program history, and the first sophomore to be nominated a finalist for the award since 2017. McCann drives in, dishes behind the cage to Pat Kavanaugh. Pat Kavanaugh for his brother Chris, shoots. Denied by Hemi. But Chris Kavanaugh comes away with it. Irish will reset their offense. Pat Kavanaugh set the record for assists in a season last year. Sends it to his brother Chris, who rips a shot. And again, Hemi comes away with it.
2 times there, you see why Pat Kavanaugh was so successful last year on the assisting end. But this time, it's for the goal instead. On that unsettled situation, gets the pass, and finish it on that far left side of Hemi.
Pat Kavanaugh gives Notre Dame the 3-0 lead with 5 minutes and change to go in this first quarter. It was Chris Kavanaugh who scored the first goal this game, and now older brother Pat giving the Irish a 3-0 advantage.
And from that replay, I don't know how that ball got over Hemi's shoulder and barely snuck in. He did a good job covering up the cage, but from there, Pat Kavanaugh just had the accuracy to finish it.
And already in this first quarter, Notre Dame with 8 shots on goal. And they've got 3 goals to show for it as the freshman for Notre Dame, Will Lynch, continues to do the work in the face-off circle. This time the Titans come away with it. Hemi's got to back up his defenders. Now Mason Kuminga try to carry it across midfield. Absorbs a hit from Pat Kavanaugh, still getting pestered. And now Ross Bergmaster comes away with it, the sophomore from Auburn, New York.
Both teams right now really fighting for those 50-50 ground balls, and it comes in all different situations. The face-off X after a goal, after a save, or even backing it up.
Nick Harris got free for a moment and let one fly, but it bounced wide. Pat Kavanaugh coming off the Hallenbeck screen to his brother Chris. Kavanaugh to Kavanaugh for the goal. 4-0 Irish lead.
We knew that Kavanaugh to Kavanaugh combination was going to happen at some point. This time, Chris comes off of that screen. And at that point, from that distance, there's just not much you can do if you're Hemi. Put up his second goal on the day.
Another Kavanaugh brother is wearing an Irish uniform, and opponents should be worried. 3 goals from the Kavanaugh brothers in this opening first quarter of the season for Notre Dame, and I have a feeling it won't be the final goals they score. Here's Wheaton Jacobois for Notre Dame. Came back for a grad year. Head coach Kevin Gorgan certainly happy to have Jacobois back on the field after he was second on the team in points a season ago. McCann trying to find Kavanaugh behind the net, but strong defense by 41 for Detroit Mercy, Jake Wooldridge, and the Titans will try and take it the other way.
Wooldridge did a nice job just staying on his hands. Even if you're just passing the ball around, that pressure can cause the turnovers.
So the Titans will now set up their offense. They've put 2 shots on goal thus far, but Entenmann was wise to both of them. Now Burney dodges left, sends it to Majik on the right side, and Majik unloaded from the right side, but it went high and wide.
Coach Colin said he's up there for one of their best outside shooters, and you could tell why with that power he had behind it.
Erskine put one on net, but Entenmann was all over it. 3rd save of the game for the junior who led the ACC in save percentage a season ago. Here's the first time we're seeing freshman Jeffrey Richardelli for Notre Dame. An attackman from the Taft School, native of New Canaan, Connecticut. Quentin Buckman gets loose. Sends a pass in the middle for Chris Kavanaugh, who gets clobbered by 2 defenders. And it's another turnover for Notre Dame.
when you're playing the crease, you know that you're going to have some contact there, whether there's a defender on your hands or on your body. But how he was able to still get a shot off was pretty impressive.
4-0 Irish lead, approaching 2 minutes to go in this first quarter. Will Edel could not handle the pass. Ground ball is loose. And it'll stay with Detroit Mercy. This is the third of 4 straight road games that Detroit Mercy is going to be playing to open up their season. And when we spoke to head coach Chris Colin prior to the game, he said, well, to be the best, you got to play the best. And Detroit Mercy opening with Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, and then they'll play Marquette. Those are 4 tough games to open up a season, Brian.
They are, and the Midwest powerhouses right there. Some of those teams up and coming, but then you have a team like Notre Dame who's been established for quite some time.
This is the 5th meeting all-time between Notre Dame and Detroit Mercy. Notre Dame leads the all-time series 4-0. Last matchup came in 2019. It was a double-digit goal victory for the Fighting Irish. Here's Pat Cavanaugh with speed, sends it on net, and bounces it past Hemme for the goal. 5-0 Notre Dame leads.
Cavanaugh is dangerous coming from that X position, and he only has a step or two above GLE, but it's still enough to get it around Hemme for a second today.
How about the quickness from Pat Cavanaugh? Second goal of the game. He assisted his brother Chris's goal earlier in the contest, and Cavanaugh picking up this season right where he left off 2021, where he led the team in points, goals, and assists. Scored 5.3 points per game, did Cavanaugh last season. That was good enough for 5th in the country. And as I mentioned earlier, set the Notre Dame program record for assists in a season with 38, breaking his older brother Matt Cavanaugh's previous record.
Well, the family is just incredibly athletic, especially when it comes to hockey and lacrosse. But when you're mentioning some of those stats, Cavanaugh is also the leading returner in ground balls for the Irish. The only 2 people last year that were ahead of him were their 2 face-off guys. But this season, he's doing it all, both offensively there, but then sticking with the plays, getting those loose ground balls.
And how about this? 8 immediate family members of the Cavanaugh family. All 8 were Division I athletes. Father Kevin played hockey at Iona. Mom Mary volleyball at Malloy College. And all 6 children Division I athletes. Chris and Pat on this Notre Dame team. Matt and Brendan have both played lacrosse professionally. Matt obviously made his college career here. Brendan at Hofstra. Older brother Kevin played hockey at Stony Brook, and their sister played soccer at Manhattan College. So just a family jam-packed full of athletes. Quite remarkable when you think about it.
And when we spoke with Coach Corrigan, I was asking if there was a difference or what he saw between the 3 brothers that have played here so far, and he really said the game's just consistent. They all work hard, they're all athletic, and already in this first quarter you could see that.
There's another look at head coach Kevin Corrigan with assistant coach and defensive specialist Ryan Wellner. Wellner in his 3rd season on the Notre Dame staff, came here via Navy.
And Navy has always been a solid defensive program as well. So as Notre Dame head coach Jerry Byrne leave to Harvard, they were able to pick up Coach Wellner to keep that defensive unit strong.
5-0 lead for Notre Dame as the final minute ticks off of this first quarter. First line of midfielders and attackmen on the field for the Irish. Dobson to Pat Cavanaugh. Pat Cavanaugh lets one rip and goes bar down. My goodness, what a strike from Pat Cavanaugh, and he owns the first hat trick of the 2022 season for Notre Dame.
Not only is he dangerous when he finishes close to the net, but there you see the underhand shot, changes levels, and sneaks it right under that crossbar for the hat trick.
Another face-off win for the freshman. Will Lynch, full head of steam, lets it fly. Doesn't get it to go, but possession will stay with Notre Dame. 23 seconds remaining in this first quarter. Pat Cavanaugh sends it up top to Quinn McCann. Now it's the sophomore, Eric Dobson, to Cavanaugh. Right in front, and it's the first goal of Jeffrey Ricciardelli's Notre Dame career. Comes with 5 seconds left in this first quarter, and Notre Dame has a 7-0 lead.
Ricciardelli wisely just catches and shoots it, knowing that there's going to be defenders collapsing on him. But Cavanaugh with the vision, seeing him there, and Ricciardelli finishing.
So we mentioned Pat Cavanaugh had 5.3 points per game a season ago, good enough for 5th in the country. And already in this first quarter, Pat Cavanaugh has 5 points, 3 goals, and 2 assists as the final seconds tick off of this first quarter. Brian, final thoughts on what was a electric first quarter?
The Cavanaugh show, both with scoring and assisting. I'm with both of those guys.
Stick with us. We'll be right back.
I need big king. I need two.
All the flame grilled stacker saucy Big King taste you love is now on the
2 4
Close. Would you say 10?
the lights.
Notre Dame, where after 1 quarter of play, the 5th-ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish hold a 7-0 lead over Detroit Mercy. And in the first quarter, it was all Cavanaugh's. 2 of them, Chris, the freshman, and the junior, Pat, accounting for 5 of Notre Dame's 7 goals.
And a big reason they're able to get those opportunities is coming from that face-off X. Notre Dame right now is winning 6 of the 7 face-offs that have happened. And that's something that Lynch, as a freshman there, along with some of the other guys, is important for them this year.
The freshman, number 22, Will Lynch, back in the face-off circle to start this second quarter. He was the number 2 face-off recruit in the class of 2021, 5-star recruit out of Chaminade High School. This time, Lynch unsuccessful in the circle. And the Titans will set up their offense for the first time in this second quarter. Detroit Mercy was able to get 4 shots on goal in the first quarter, but all 4 were saved by Liam Entenmann.
The Titans wisely just slowing it down and getting the subs in, making sure they're not taking any shots that are forced.
Magic with a strong move. Ripped one, but it went wide. Magic, the junior, native of Grand Rapids, Michigan, was an All-MAC second-team selection a season ago. As Max Shallot for Notre Dame hobbles off the field. And the refs talk a few things over. Brian, what do you think Detroit Mercy needs to do differently on the offensive side of things in this second quarter?
Well, right now, I think it's more on the defensive end. So on the offensive side of the game, they have been getting some decent shots, and even right there, we saw it. They just haven't been able to finish it. So the opportunities are coming. I think it comes from that defensive end and getting more stops there, allowing more time of possession for their offense to get together.
So both sets of referees talking things over. We mentioned the success Notre Dame has had in season openers, 28-5 all-time under head coach Kevin Corrigan. Inside Loftus Sports Center, though, the Irish have won 20 straight games. Here's Will Edel, being guarded by Carson Cochran. And now Nolan Grallman working on Quinn McCann. Foul called on Detroit Mercy, and Notre Dame will take over.
An illegal screen there, and some errors that you want to avoid if you're the Titans, or when it's situations like that. It's settled, you're just rotating the ball around. And when it's 7-0, you want to make sure you play smart.
Riley Gray sends it out wide to Griffin Westland. And now Wheaton Jacobois, one of the speediest players on Notre Dame's roster, takes it from the right side. Sends it up top for Dobson. Cavanaugh was trying to find Jeffrey Ricciardelli inside. Ricciardelli could not handle the pass, but Jacobois recovered it for the Irish.
It seems like Notre Dame's looking to expose that center of the field.
Jacobois drives in and scores. First goal of Wheaton Jacobois' season gives Notre Dame an 8-0 advantage.
But when I first said that, I was thinking more passing to the crease. At the same time, Jacobois dodges from the alley, gets the defender behind him, and he turns then upfield to get to that center of the field, and then finishes it for his first goal this year.
Jacobois coming off of a 21-goal, 10-assist season last year. He scored 7 goals in Notre Dame's 2 NCAA tournament games and came up big for the Irish in some close contests as well, as Lynch and Barada continue to battle for it in the face-off circle. Possession is awarded to Detroit Mercy, but Wheaton Jacobois scored 4 goals versus number 3 Maryland and 3 goals versus number 1 Duke a season ago. He had a point in every game last season except for 2.
And leading that midi unit in goals last year, and he does so. He's just a strong finisher, not just from the outside, but as you saw from the inside there, he knows how to use his body and get in position to protect his stick and still score.
Mitch Durst originally dropped the pass, but was able to recover it. Now here's Ryan Figueres trying to find an opening. Carter Parlett applying the defense. Figueres going for goal. Goes low, it's deflected. Ball's loose. Will Edel comes away with it for the Titans.
You mentioned Parlett. Notre Dame's short stick defensive middies are strong and deep this year too. And we see there, even though the Titans retain possession just from effort of getting the ground ball, the defense is still strong.
Erskine right in front, scores. Who else but Brett Erskine for the Titans, and Detroit Mercy is on the board.
And right when I mentioned the defense is strong, Erskine, who we highlighted previously, gets the rebound off of the Entenmann save. And from that distance, changing the angles and the levels, no surprises that he finishes for their first goal today.
Erskine converts right on the doorstep, goes low to high. Tough save for Entenmann to make. And Detroit Mercy on the board in this second quarter. It's a 7-goal lead for Notre Dame, and we touched on it a bit in the open, but the return of Entenmann is huge in net for Notre Dame, but the Irish are without Jack Keelty and Kyle Thornton from a season ago, who were two excellent close defenders.
Well, what Notre Dame did last year with picking up Thornton, they did this year picking up Jason Reynolds, number 6, coming from Richmond. So utilizing that transfer portal to make sure that that defensive unit is seasoned and strong.
Sophomore Bryce Walker on the field for the first time this evening. And Walker will work from behind the cage. Sends it up top for Chris Kavanaugh, who unloads a flamethrower and singes the top right corner of the goal for Notre Dame's 9th of the game.
Again from the crease. Notre Dame still attacking there. And Chris Kavanaugh with the side arm, able to keep it high and finishes it for his 3rd. So now both Kavanaugh brothers have 3 today.
Two hat tricks for Notre Dame, both by Kavanaughs. And it's a 9-1 advantage. Chris, the freshman, showing you some of that shot speed he's got. Season ago, Chris Kavanaugh led Taft to the Geico High School Lacrosse National Championship. Played his club for Long Island Express and is now playing alongside older brother Pat as a starting attackman for Notre Dame. Pat Kavanaugh to Chris Kavanaugh. How about another one? My goodness, what a rip from Chris Kavanaugh. Give him 4.
Well, we know Chris can score when his feet are planted, but here he gets the feed, and he's running east to west. And so being able to turn your body back towards the net and to finish it with enough power from that distance is impressive.
Chris Kavanaugh speeding to his right and sending an absolute missile to the top left corner of the net. Nothing Jacob Hemme could do there. And Chris Kavanaugh has 4 goals in the first half of his first ever college lacrosse contest. Carson Cochran secures the loose ball for Notre Dame. And Quinn McCann carries over midfield. He was defended by Paul Manuzik, who was a 2-time long stick midfielder of the year in the MAC.
Push was called, but when you mention Manuzak leading the team for Detroit Mercy in both ground balls and caused turnovers. He's an aggressive player. He does it out in the wing. At face-off, he'll do it when it's right in the clearing game too.
Manuzik had 12 ground balls and 4 caused turnovers in the 2 games for the Titans coming into this contest. Believe Notre Dame is currently in a man-up situation for about 30 seconds. A push was called on Detroit Mercy as there's a feed right in front of the net, and Richard Ellie put it on net, but Hemme turned it away.
When you're playing man down, a big thing you want to do is to cover the crease, but from the outside it doesn't matter. Pat with another goal. He saw his brother have 4. Now he wants to have 4.
You said it, Brian. 4 goals for Chris Kavanaugh, now 4 goals for older brother Pat. And they seem to just be having fun with it in this first half. It's 11-1 Irish.
And Pat realizes without the defender getting on his hands, he can load up and shoot. And when you have a couple defenders in that vision of Hemi there, it's tough to see where that ball's coming from.
Colin Hagstrom is now in the face-off circle for Notre Dame, replacing the freshman Will Lynch. Hagstrom is a sophomore Minnesota native. Did not see any action a season ago as a freshman. Six minutes gone by in this second quarter. It's a 10-goal lead for Notre Dame. Make that 11. The sophomore, Eric Dobson, joins the scoring party, and Notre Dame continues to pour it on here in the first half.
And notice where Dobson started that dodge. He was far from being a threat to score, but bringing a defender out, and once you're able to get that step on him like he did, no slide comes, and he finishes it for his first today.
Dobson coming off of a fantastic freshman season, building on that in year 2. 12-1, Notre Dame leads.
I need big king, big king. I need two.
All the flame grilled stacker saucy Big King taste you love is now on the
2, 4, 5.
for a limited time.
You're not just another policyholder to us. We remember your name. Hi, Cheryl.
You remembered my name.
Because it's your name. That's simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Chris Kavanaugh is on a tear to open up his collegiate career, the freshman, with 4 first-half goals for Notre Dame.
And the way he's been able to do it, very versatile and a strong statement for game 1. And also keep an eye on, he has 2 caused turnovers, so he's not just doing it with scoring. He's also hustling, going after those ground balls, and in the riding game too.
You'd think Chris would have big shoes to fill coming to Notre Dame. Older brother Matt, an all-timer here. Older brother Pat currently on the team, breaking some of Matt's records a season ago, but big shoes to fill. Chris Kavanaugh seems to have big feet.
He's off to the right start to do so.
It's an 11-goal lead for Notre Dame. Irish put up 7 goals in the first quarter, 5 in this second quarter. Pat Kavanaugh has 4 of them. Sent a pass inside, no one there to receive it. Riley Gray put one on net. It was turned away. Titans attempting to clear now. And a Detroit Mercy player is down and slow to get up. It's number 9, Kelson Connors. Kelson Connors appears to be okay. The senior defender from Fenton, Michigan. And how about that strong defense by Notre Dame, just completely rode the Detroit Mercy ball carrier out of bounds.
Well, what they did was they just stood back a little bit more and let Detroit Mercy with, goalie and some of their close defensemen try to pass the ball around to find an open midi to clear it. But by sitting back like that towards that midfield line, you allow that double team in the trap that came there.
Wheaton Jacobois fresh off the bench. He's got a goal today and adds another one. Jacobois bounces it past Hemi, and Notre Dame is up 13-1.
Jacobois, quick stutter step. You can tell he changes his speed, which throws the defender off for just a moment. And when he accelerates again with the right hand, bounces it in.
What a start to this season in this first half for the Fighting Irish. 13-1 goal lead over Detroit Mercy, who already had 2 games of action under their belt coming into this one, but Notre Dame just taking advantage of every hole they see in the net for Jacob Hemi. And it's not that Detroit Mercy has been playing terrible defense, Brian, but Notre Dame just connecting on some shots on the outside and those on the inside as well.
So they have 24 shots, Notre Dame does right now. 20 of them are on goal. And when you have that ratio from just shots to what that on-goal percentage looks like, if you're in the net as Hemi, it's just going to be difficult seeing those many shots.
Mentioned in Detroit Mercy's last game, which was a 21-5 loss to Michigan, Hemi tied the program record for saves in a game with 28. The redshirt freshman has been seeing a ton of shots and shots on goal, as you mentioned, Brian, in his first 3 games. And that's not an easy thing for someone in their first season as a full-time starter. Hagstrom in the face-off circle again for Notre Dame. We've seen the freshman Will Lynch and the sophomore Hagstrom thus far. Manuzik tried to save it for Detroit Mercy, but gave it away to Bryce Walker, who's got a free lean to the net, and he takes advantage. Bryce Walker enlarges the lead for Notre Dame to 13.
The Notre Dame attack is doing a great job riding and going after those 50-50 balls. And in the unsettled situation, Walker now gains that possession. The slide comes late and gets on the board for a goal today.
Walker had 2 goals and an assist all of last season. He's already on the board here in 2022. Will Lynch back in the face-off circle for Notre Dame, and Maximus Shallot comes from the wing and scoops up the GB.
At the face-off X, that clamp was actually won by the Titans, but that's just more of the wing play coming from Notre Dame, getting that possession.
And that was a question mark coming into this season in this game for Notre Dame after losing Charlie Leonard and Kyle Gallagher, their 2 face-off specialists from a season ago, as the ball's loose in front of the net, but Hemi comes away with it. But Brian, Notre Dame was one of the best face-off teams in the country a season ago, winning 62% of their draws, but a bunch of new faces in the circle this season.
Well, Lynch and Hagstrom are having a strong start today, but losing 2 guys like you mentioned there from last year who were so successful in gaining those possessions on the offensive end allows for more opportunities to score. So big place for them to step up for this year for the Irish.
Bernie coming around the corner. Entenmann was all over it, covering that right side of the net. Ball went high and wide. And now Aiden Bishop will carry it into the attacking zone for the Titans. Bishop being guarded by the grad transfer Jason Reynolds, and Jason Reynolds just took it away. Reynolds sends it back to Doherty, and Doherty's pass to Bryce Walker goes off of Walker's stick and out of bounds. It's a turnover.
Reynolds playing some solid defense there, even far out. Still providing the pressure. You can tell that's a seasoned defenseman, understanding they can still understand their own limits, so they can still play that far out and gain a turnover.
Detroit Mercy currently being outshot 26-11 by Notre Dame, 22-6 in terms of shots on goal. Matt Blevins, nice pass in front of the net. It was Will Adell who put it on net, but Entenmann turned it away. And now the freshman, Ben Ramsey, coming down the far side.
Grant, we talked a lot about the offensive end for the Irish today, but Entenmann is also doing phenomenal in the net, not just because it's a one goal that he's let in, but making some big stops like that one.
Crossfield pass to Michael Fay, and Fay's shot is saved by Hemme. Now Erskine, turned away by Reynolds. Send it back to Adell. It went over Adell's head, but Majic was there to gather. There's a shot put on net by Aiden Bishop, but it goes over the crossbar. Erskine is there to collect possession for the Titans.
You can tell Bishop wants that one back. That's something he finishes, and it really didn't miss by much. And it's something they could use to put another goal in net.
Majic setting the screen for Grallman. Erskine working on Reynolds. Erskine spinning through two defenders, and he's denied at the net by Entenmann. And he also went into the crease, so possession will go to Notre Dame. Another stop by Liam Entenmann.
You can tell Erskine really wanted to get on that close side of the pipe and to put one in.
Buckman inside to Mark McGinley, and McGinley bounces it past Jacob Hemme for the 15th goal of the game for Notre Dame. And that is Mark McGinley's first career point in an Irish uniform.
A big reason why the offense is doing so well today for Notre Dame is starting on the defensive end. They stop Erskine with the double team. They get the ball going the other way. And now McGinley is on board.
Mark McGinley, the senior, has played in 6 games for his career. Tonight is the 7th, and he just picked up his first goal. Hagstrom looked like he came away with the face-off victory originally, but both teams unable to scoop up the ball. It's still loose, trickles out of bounds. And it's going to go to Notre Dame. And Brian, head coach Kevin Corrigan has not been shy in terms of subbing guys in and out thus far in this first half, working with a double-digit lead. But even before that, a lot of new faces getting action for this Fighting Irish team.
Well, when you have a lead like this, game one is a time to do that. You can experiment to an extent of what lines you want to put together from attack to midi and get different guys playing with each other.
And building that chemistry between different sets of players may not be something that reaps benefits immediately, but down the season, when it comes later in the spring, you see the fruits of the labor that's being put in right now. There is a flag down on the field currently as we approach a minute remaining in this first half. It has been all Notre Dame. There's a rip from Nolan Grallman, and Grallman cuts the Notre Dame lead to 13, second goal of the evening for Detroit Mercy.
Grallman showing why the subbing game can still be dangerous, and you want to make sure when you're playing defense, you're staying on your guy. You'll see he's wide open. There's no defender there to get on his hands. No contact. And he does the rest.
So the Titans tack on another one with just a minute to go until the halftime break. Kyle Loken dishes it to Erskine.
I wouldn't be surprised here with 40 seconds left that they might want to take the last shot. Not allow Notre Dame to get another goal, but maybe put another one in themselves.
Bernie unloads from deep, and Entenmann is all over it. Under 30 seconds to go in this first half. Nick Harris was trying to send it over to number 39, Davis Allen, but the ball did not find Davis Allen. Instead, it trickled behind him and went out of bounds. I believe it's going to be a turnover for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like. And I'm sure Coach Corrigan noticing that they had a chance to hold on to the ball until halftime. And if it is a turnover, which it looks like it, Detroit has a chance here.
Unfortunate turnover for Notre Dame. Magic drives in, shoots, and it's saved by Entenmann. First half is complete here in Loftus Sports Center. Brian, final thoughts on the first 30 minutes.
Hasn't just been Notre Dame on the offensive end, but playing that complete game this first half.
Irish up by 13 through 30 minutes.
I need big king, big king. I need two.
All the flame grilled stacker saucy Big King taste you love is now on the
2, 4, 5.
for a limited time.
USAA is made for the safe pilots. For Mac, who can come to a stop with barely a bobble. Lucia, who announces her intentions even if no one's there. And Sergeant Moore, who leaves room for her room. With USAA Safe Pilot, when you drive safe, you can save up to 30% on your auto insurance. Get a quote and start saving. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
I first started playing lacrosse when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I loved it right away from the first time I picked up a stick. I knew that would be a huge part of my life. My recruitment to Notre Dame was pretty interesting. My older brother Matt played here, so I always came to his games on weekends when I was in 7th and 8th grade. So Notre Dame was always a spot that I dreamed of going to school. I honestly couldn't believe it. I was kind of at a loss for words when Coach Corrigan asked me to come play here, and but I worked really hard, so I'm really thankful for all the hard work that I put in, and really thankful for my older brother Matt for guiding me through that whole process, telling me to be patient and that my time will come. So, and it did. And I took the opportunity that Coach Corrigan gave me and kind of ran with it. Last year, we had a really good year, but what I learned is that there's a really small margin for error, especially with our schedule and caliber of teams that we play. I kind of learned that you can't take any days off because you could get beat on any given day. I had the honor of being voted as a captain as a junior, which is an incredible honor. I'm thankful for my teammates for voting for me. So I definitely have way more responsibilities this year, and I'm just trying to be a good role model and the best teammate I can be for the guys around me. I think we have a really special team. We got guys who are playmakers at every position, impact players at every position. So honestly, I think we're just trying to get back to the Final Four, first Final Four since 2015. So, and then obviously we're trying to still chase that first national championship as a program. And we're just continuing to be closer as a unit as the year goes on, and we work towards the spring. So yeah, it's awesome. I love these guys, and I'm going to be best friends with them for the rest of my life. It's awesome having Chris around. Me and Chris kind of agreed when we were really young that wherever I committed to college, Chris was coming with me. It's honestly surreal. I still can't believe that he's here with me every day. Take a look at him, and I'm just so thankful that I get to play and go to school with my brother, who also happens to be my best friend. So yeah, it's been unbelievable so far. It's such a special feeling every time I put on that gold helmet and that jersey. I get the chills. It's honestly unreal. I still can't believe that I attend such a prestigious university and growing up dreaming to play here. Notre Dame is special to me. There's a lot of history and tradition that comes behind walking around the campus. All these buildings are just so cool. The architecture behind them, the meaning behind all of them. It's just such a special place. And honestly, if you don't know Notre Dame, you can't really describe it to an outsider. It's just such a special place and tight-knit community. So yeah, I'd definitely say Notre Dame is special.
I need big king, big king. I need two.
All the flame grilled stacker saucy Big King taste you love is now on the
2, 4, 5
for a limited time.
USAA is made for the safe pilots. For Mac, who can come to a stop with barely a bobble. Lucia, who announces her intentions even if no one's there. And Sergeant Moore, who leaves room for her room. With USAA Safe Pilot, when you drive safe, you can save up to 30% on your auto insurance. Get a quote and start saving. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
After one half of play here in South Bend, Notre Dame leads Detroit Mercy 15-2. Second half action coming up after the break.
Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing, I've had since boot camp.
And I just saved on my car insurance for driving safe with USAA.
Auto insurance that flexes with you.
Hit the fit.
That's what we're made for.
Making friends again, Billy?
I like to keep my enemies close.
Guys, excuse me. I didn't quite get that. I'm hard of hearing.
Oh, hey, don't forget about the tense music, too.
Would you say tense?
I'd say suspenseful.
Aren't they the same thing?
Can we move on, guys? Please.
Alexa, turn on the subtitles. And dim the lights. Okay, dimming the lights.
Welcome back inside the Loftus Sports Center, where after one half of play, it's been all Fighting Irish. Fifth-ranked Notre Dame leading Detroit Mercy 15-2, and it's been the Kavanaugh show. Junior Pat Kavanaugh with 4 goals and 3 assists in the first half.
Picking up right where he left off last season. Dynamic, being able to do it, scoring and passing and shooting from different levels as well.
And Pat, the older brother, setting the example for his younger brother, Chris, who in his first collegiate game has 4 first-half goals as well.
That's such a strong start coming in as a true freshman, but to no surprise, Notre Dame's familiar with the Kavanaugh family. And Chris is doing more than just living up to that name.
Chris Kavanaugh scored the first goal of this 2022 season for Notre Dame, doing it from the inside and from the outside as well. As we take a look at the statistical breakdown from the first half, what stands out to you, Brian?
Well, I mentioned it in the first half, but again, that shot on goal percentage being 24 to 28, there's just too many chances for Notre Dame against Detroit Mercy, which is giving Hemi a hard time in net.
This is the season opener for Notre Dame. They are 28-5 all-time under head coach Kevin Corrigan in season openers, and they've won 19 in a row. That's in season openers generally, but in home openers, which this is one as well, they're 30-3 under head coach Kevin Corrigan. Not a team you want to see on the first game of this season is Notre Dame.
And when we ran into Coach Wellner earlier, and I think Coach Corrigan even shared the same thing, Grant, this team is ready to play. They feel like it's been a long preseason. They've been putting in the work, and they're showing it here tonight.
Notre Dame coming off of another successful campaign a season ago in 2021. They finished 8-4 overall and advanced to the NCAA quarterfinals for the 10th time in the past 11 seasons. So Notre Dame has been to 15 straight NCAA tournaments, and they've advanced to the quarterfinal round in 10 of the last 11 seasons. Really a standard of excellence that head coach Kevin Corrigan has set.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. They are consistently there at the end of the year. They're always a threat. And not only that, but the ACC conference, those games prior to leading up to the tournament play, just gets these guys prepared.
Freshman Will Lynch wins another faceoff to start this second half for Notre Dame. Talk about the tournament success for the Irish. They're still trying to capture their first ever national championship. And junior Pat Kavanaugh, who's got 7 points in this game, has spoke about this team's desire to get back to the Final Four for the first time since 2015 and capture that elusive national championship as well. Quinn McCann lets one fly, and it bounces wide.
McCann having a good look there with the swim coming up top, just puts it wide.
Dobson gets free, lets one fly, and it goes high and wide, but boy, can Dobson wind one up.
Yeah, with that kind of room and space, he's used to finishing those, but it's only game one.
First action for grad transfer Mike Hawkins. Hawkins working through traffic, and it's a turnover. Kelson Connors comes away with it. Flag down. Hemi lost it outside the crease. Hawkins picked it up, but whistles blowing all over the place. And it looks like it's going to be a hold called on Notre Dame.
Regardless of the scoreboard, both teams are playing physical and hard right now.
So Mike Hawkins for Notre Dame got called for the hold. It'll be a 30-second penalty against Notre Dame. And Detroit Mercy is going to go man up for those 30 seconds. They're 0 for 5 on man up opportunities thus far this season. Here's Magic with it up top. Magic to Bernie, goes low on Entenmann, but the junior was all over it. And it's another save for Liam Entenmann.
The Titans did a nice job rotating the ball around, throwing a skip pass or two. But it's just a better save by Entenmann and continuing to show why he's so successful.
Entenmann, the junior, played his high school lacrosse at Chaminade High School alongside Pat Cavanaugh. Quentin Buckman was trying to find Emmett Barger behind the net for Notre Dame, but it's a turnover.
DeVito showing why it's important to stay on the attackman's hands, causing that turnover.
Detroit Mercy has struggled thus far this evening to carry it over midfield, but Magic does so after some contact. Here's Erskine working down the far side. Sends it behind the cage. Now Magic, guarded by Quinn McCann. Sends a shot from well outside. Goes high and wide.
Magic has that ability to finish those shots. How he was able just to create the space was impressive there. Entenmann coming up big again. He does a real nice job staying on the post, especially from that position when someone's attacking the net. He stands tall or he holds strong there, making his 10th save today.
And Brian, I was about to say the same thing. Entenmann coming up with another nice stop, but it's a new goaltender in net for Notre Dame. Chris Nelson, the senior, native of North Carolina. He has not appeared in any career games, played for a moment last year in a game against Syracuse, but first extended action of Chris Nelson's career in net as Bryce Walker lets one rip and buries it. 16-2, Notre Dame leads.
The Notre Dame offense continuing to keep their foot on the gas pedal in this second half. Walker gets that skip pass. And even with the defender on him and running out of that angle, he still buries it.
Second goal of the game for Bryce Walker. The sophomore already has tied his goal total from last season as Colin Hagstrom comes away with a face-off win. Hagstrom dealing with some contact, dished it back off to Bryce Walker, who dumps it off to Mark McGinley. Eight different goal scorers for the Fighting Irish on their 16 goals. Here is Davis Allen, senior out of Pelham, New York. Michael Fay sends it behind the cage to Mike Hawkins. Now McGinley already has a goal tonight. Sends it up top for Allen. Davis Allen, nice feed inside. Bryce Walker could not convert it and was inside the crease.
You pointed it out, that was a very nice feed, and you know Walker wanted to put a third goal in. He was smart to try to quick stick it, but stepped in the crease.
Detroit Mercy put a shot on net. It looked for a moment like the Titans were going to retain possession, but the referee called for a foul, and Notre Dame will take over. Conrad Delgado sends it over to David Lipka. Grad student on this Notre Dame team, was one of the key grad transfers on last year's team from Syracuse. Lipka, number 66, played all 12 games on the second line midfield unit for Notre Dame, had 7 goals and 4 assists.
And with him returning this year, it's keeping that second line midfield for Notre Dame strong.
Gray to Buckman. Now here is Lipka. Lipka trying to find an opening. Fires and scores. David Lipka scores his first goal of the 2022 season, and Notre Dame is up 15.
Right on cue. The defender's still on him, but he has that space, and he's protecting his stick. And that's just not enough to stop him from scoring.
Lipka, the native of Maryland, had a 17-game point streak dating into last season that he extended to 19 straight games. More than capable of filling up the stat sheet is David Lipka. And he gets himself going in the second half of this season opener. That was Figueres putting a shot on that. Now Aiden Bishop let one fly, and Entenmann was there for the save. Excuse me, that was Chris Nelson. Apologies, Entenmann's evening appears to be over, and Nelson comes up with a nice save on that shot by Bishop.
Well, Grant, you and I both made that same error. It looks like he's just playing Nelson, that is, just as well in net, having a couple of big stops this quarter.
Will Edel carries it down the far right side for Detroit Mercy. Titans scored both of their goals in the final minutes of the second quarter. One from Brett Erskine, one from Nolan Grallman. Here is Ryan Burney. He's been quiet thus far this evening. Burney turning, shooting. And it goes out of bounds, but Brett Erskine is there to recover possession as Burney is now limping off of the field. Erskine coming from behind the cage. There's Bishop with another shot on net, turned away by Chris Nelson. Nelson to Bergmaster, and Bergmaster was looking for grad student Matt Federaca, but Federaca unable to handle Bergmaster's pass, and it's a turnover for Notre Dame. Seen a few times thus far this game, Brian, where Notre Dame has been unable to complete some rather routine passes.
And part of that could just be game one, getting some of those kinks out. At the same time, you want to make sure that is something you stop now, or at least make those efforts to get those passes crisper.
All the way inside through the front of the net did Luke Magic go, but got called for being inside the crease. And now Ben Ramsey, the freshman for Notre Dame, will sprint towards midfield and dish to Marco Napolitano.
And even though Maychik hasn't finished a shot today, you could tell he's a threat. You can see the way he dodges and he attacks the net, that it's just about time one of those will drop.
$15-goal lead for Notre Dame. Bryce Walker already has 2. Dishes it to Quentin Buckman. And wow. Nice shot stop by Jacob Hemme. Ball trickled out of bounds. Here's Riley Gray. Flags flying all over the place. Kyle Loken laid a hit on Bryce Walker, and penalty incoming on Loken.
Well, you could tell there was a check there that got to Gray. You hope he's okay. But as he was looking to get rid of the ball is when that penalty happened. So another man-up chance for Notre Dame.
Take another look at this hit by Loken. And I misspoke saying it was Bryce Walker who took that hit, but it was actually David Lipka. And Lipka got hit from his blind side.
And it was high, right above the shoulder there to his head. And you know you want to make sure you protect these players in the game.
Notre Dame will go man up for a minute. Coming into this game, Detroit Mercy opponents were 3 for 7 on the man up opportunity. Pat Cavanaugh, crossfield pass to Wheaton Jacobois. Now Dobson up top to Pat Cavanaugh. Trying to find a Westland. It looked like he might have lost that pass from Pat Cavanaugh. And it's a turnover. So not the man-up opportunity offense that you're looking for if you're a member of the Irish.
And those are still chances you bring in the first line and man up. You still want to get those guys ready to go, playing together this early in the season. So even though with the scoreboard being 17-2, you still want that first line in.
4 minutes remaining in this third quarter. It's been a relatively quiet third quarter comparatively. Just 2 goals scored in this third quarter, both by Notre Dame. Irish put up 8 goals in the second quarter and 7 in the first. Both of Detroit Mercy's goals came in the final goings of the second quarter. Matt Federica took it away from Mitch Durst. Now Federica sets up his teammate Jake Moss, and Jake Moss was ready to load one up and fire, but got it taken away from behind. Possession will stay with the Irish.
And that's Manuzik showing his ability to be aggressive and hustling, stretching his body out just to make sure there wasn't a clean shot that was gotten off.
Nice catch by Mike Hawkins on that feed from freshman Will Angrick. Now here's Mark McGinley. Already has a goal this evening. Put one on net, well wide. Here's the grad student Michael Fay. Bryce Walker could not handle the pass from Mike Hawkins, and it's another turnover by Notre Dame. 33, Kyle Loken applying the pressure. Notre Dame trying to get a turnover of their own, and freshman Will Angrick comes up with the ground ball. Is being guarded by Jake Wooldridge, and a flag is down, likely coming against Wooldridge.
He'll be serving a penalty for what looked like a trip and allowing another opportunity for Notre Dame to maybe get that man-up unit in.
McGinley to Walker, saved by Hemme. Ball still on the ground. Davis Allen comes away with it. Notre Dame up by 15, under 2 minutes to go in this third quarter. We'll step aside. Dobson from up top. Fired one in well high, but it'll stay with Notre Dame. First line of attackmen and midfielders on the field for the Irish. And Jeffrey Ricciardelli, the freshman, tacks on his second goal of the evening, and Notre Dame leads 18-2. Irish lead by 16. Back inside Loftus Sports Center here in South Bend. Notre Dame has been dominating their 2022 season opener against Detroit Mercy, 18-2. Grant Delvecchio and Brian Benedict bringing you the action. Notre Dame has been stellar offensively, Brian, but also on the defensive end. They gave up under 9 goals a game a season ago, ranked 3rd in the country in goals given up per game. And to start this season, they've just given up 2.
And a big part of that is what we're going to see right here at that face-off X. They've won 14 today against Detroit Mercy 7. And Grant, coming off of that man-up possession for Notre Dame, that's big for those first-line guys to get together and score. They had a chance right before that, which we saw, didn't execute. They get another chance, and they make sure to there.
Approaching a minute to play in this third quarter. Emmett Barger has it with it behind the cage. Now Jeffrey Ricciardelli dumps it off to the freshman Will Angrick, and Angrick puts a shot on net but misses everything. Barger is there to collect. Comes off the McGinley screen. What a feed to Hawkins. And Mike Hawkins has his first goal in an Irish uniform. Notre Dame leads 19-2.
When you're playing off-ball defense, you want to make sure you're communicating who is sticking with who. Detroit Mercy was unable to do it, and Notre Dame makes them pay with another goal.
Mike Hawkins, the graduate transfer from Colgate, led Colgate with 19 goals and was second on the team with 31 points a season ago. Was a team captain for Colgate last season, elected to spend his graduate transfer here in South Bend with the Irish, and just picked up his first goal as a member of Notre Dame. Under 30 seconds to go in this third quarter. Irish lead by 17. Whistle blown, and Notre Dame called for the foul. Jacob Hemme's going to scoop it up for Detroit Mercy. Chris Nelson still in net for Notre Dame, the senior. Came on to replace Liam Entenmann as the final seconds tick off this third quarter. Final 15 minutes of action coming up after the break. Irish up 19-2.
Step into the new when you drive a Chevy. It's time for a fresh approach and a new perspective. Meet new friends or reconnect with some old ones and find the Chevy that's right for you. Find new experiences, find new roads. Drive yours away this President's Day. Very well qualified buyers can get 0% financing on Silverado Limited Crew Cab pickups. Plus, current competitive owners get an additional $750 bonus cash.
Hey, I get it. Commitment can be scary, but not when you're saving up to 15% with Subscribe and Save at Amazon. You get free repeat delivery on your favorite items. And if things don't work out, you can always cancel. Seriously, no one would judge you if you call it off. Okay.
Learn all the ways to save with Amazon.
Notre Dame leading Detroit Mercy 19-2 as we're moments away from fourth quarter action of this season opener for Notre Dame. As we take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Fighting Irish, a lot of exciting matchups. 1 week from today, I believe this Notre Dame team will be facing off against a very talented Georgetown squad.
And they got a big win today, the Hoyas did. If you look at the next 4 games for Notre Dame, they're all out of the ACC. So we know how strong the ACC is overall, and Notre Dame's playing those top teams outside of those conferences as well, with Georgetown and Maryland especially being next.
Maryland, a game that is definitely circled on the schedule for this Irish team. Terrapins knocked Notre Dame out of the NCAA tournament in overtime last season. So circle that March 5th game. That will be streamed on the ACC network. As Detroit Mercy goes to work in this fourth quarter, Magic puts a shot on net, but it's right at Chris Nelson, who continues to rack up saves in this second half.
Well, the Titans were smart to hold on to the ball at the end of the third quarter to allow that man-up opportunity. But Nelson on the shot, no one was in his way. He was able to see from start to finish where that ball was coming from. It makes another save.
We'll see how patient Notre Dame is offensively in this fourth quarter. Irish came out firing in the first half. Mike Hawkins tried to sneak one past Hemme, wrapping around from X. Stays with Notre Dame. Emmett Barger working at the X position. Try to send it up top. Believe that pass was intended for Michael Lynch, but Mike Hawkins stuck his stick in the air and deflection resulted in a turnover. Titans will try to clear. Titans have an opening. And it was Will Edel who found some room to shoot, but sent it wide of Chris Nelson and the net. That was some good ball movement there, though, by the Titans.
Especially in an unsettled situation. It was, and that shot from Edel was pretty good placement, just went wide.
Figueres sent one low on Chris Nelson, who again made a really nice save, stepped up off the bench, did Nelson, and is putting together a strong second half performance in net for Notre Dame.
Entenmann has 9 saves on the day. You wonder if Nelson is looking to get close to that.
Here is Davis Allen, senior, native of Pelham, New York. And add another one to Notre Dame's goal total. Jake Taylor gets involved in the scoring party for Notre Dame off the feed from Davis Allen.
A lot of Notre Dame goals today have come from either the crease or that center of the field. And Taylor adds to that, scoring his first goal today.
Jake Taylor played in the first 2 games of the season for Notre Dame last year prior to being injured, scored a goal versus Bellarmine. And now scores off the timely feed from Davis Allen. And with that assist, I believe that is the first point of Davis Allen's Notre Dame career.
It's also the team's 13th assist today. So of the 20 goals, 13 of them assisted, showing the ball movement and the unselfishness of the Irish.
Definitely a tongue twister there. Chris Nelson secures another save. And now Matt Fedoraka. Sprinting down the other way. Here's Emmett Barger, puts one on net, and it trickles wide. Seems like Notre Dame, Brian, continues to up the intensity on the offensive side of things. Do you think head coach Corrigan, perhaps assistant coach Chris Wojcik, are looking for anything in particular from this fourth quarter performance?
That's a great question. I feel it's just game one. You have a chance now to put in different units and different guys and in both attack and midi. That I think more than anything, they're just looking to generate and see what comes from it.
Davis Allen. Behind the net to Barger. Feed right in front for Fay. And it's saved by Hemme. Back up top for Allen. Davis Allen works behind the cage. Barger trying to find an opening, cannot. Now sent to pass in front for Jake Taylor, who couldn't handle it originally. Mike Hawkins in front for Taylor, and Taylor adds another one. 21-2, Notre Dame leads.
Taylor again a threat at the heart of the defense. There's no two-slide to recover onto Taylor. He does the smart thing, cuts to the ball, and then just catches and finishes.
Jake Taylor, with 2 goals in this season opener, now has the most goals in a season in his career. And there is another new goaltender in net for Notre Dame. Chris Nelson's night is over, and now Grant Petracca, another senior native of Manhasset, New York, getting some action in net for the Fighting Irish. Some action near the sidelines. A lot of whistles being blown, and now Mike Hawkins can play it. Here's the freshman, number 43 for Notre Dame, Michael Ridgway. Seen a lot of freshmen get action for this Notre Dame team. Obviously, Will Lynch has played a major role in this game at the face-off position. As Michael Lynch found Hawkins inside for Notre Dame, but Hawkins unable to convert anything on it. Now Michael Lynch completely rides Chase Mahabir into the ground. Seemed to be surprised by the foul call was Michael Lynch, but nonetheless the yellow flag is down.
As a coach, you like the effort and what they're trying to do, but you want to make sure you're still playing smart. An obvious flag there.
So Michael Lynch was riding him out of bounds, but foul goes on Jake Moss, and it'll be a man-up opportunity for Detroit Mercy.
In the same way Notre Dame looked to have some man-up opportunities this second half, Detroit Mercy wants to do the same and put in their first man-up goal on the year.
Shot put on net, saved by Petracca. What a performance by the goalies of Notre Dame tonight. 16 saves combined between the three goaltenders and only 2 goals given up.
Well, Grant, when we spoke to Coach Corrigan, he talked about the depth of this team, and we're seeing it from the goalie position. Petracca just seeing the shot the whole way through.
As Barger speeds past his defender and dumps it over Hemi for the score. Irish up by 20 in this fourth quarter. Pardon me. Under 8 to go left in this season opener for Notre Dame. Irish lead by 20.
I need big king, big king. I need two.
All the flame grilled stacker saucy Big King taste you love is now on the
2, 4, 5
for a limited time.
Step into the new when you drive a Chevy. It's time for a fresh approach and a new perspective. Meet new friends or reconnect with some old ones and find the Chevy that's right for you. Find new experiences, find new roads. Drive yours away this President's Day. Very well qualified buyers can get 0% financing on Silverado Limited Crew Cab pickups. Plus, current competitive owners get an additional $750 bonus cash.
Under 8 to play in this fourth quarter between Notre Dame and Detroit Mercy. It's been total domination from the get-go by this 5th-ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish squad that lost some key pieces from last year's NCAA quarterfinal team. Guys like Jack Keelty and Kyle Thornton on the defensive end. Key player in Will York, a member of the attack unit on last year's squad, but they did return 7 of their top 8 point scorers a season ago as Davis Allen scores the first goal of his Notre Dame career and puts Notre Dame up by 21.
And when you talked about those returners, Grant, Allen was actually not included there. At the same time, he's second line this year. The slide comes too late, and he gets his first goal today.
Davis Allen, the all-time points, goals, and assists leader at Pelham Memorial High School in Westchester County, New York. Played his club lacrosse for the Westchester Predators. And Davis Allen just picked up his first career goal as a member of this Irish lacrosse team, and it comes in his senior year. Got to imagine Davis Allen is fired up after that one.
And that, again, speaks to their depth at being a senior and seeing the playing time he will this year.
And not only that, but the reaction from the sidelines and Allen's teammates after that goal told the story. Here's Mitch Durst working behind the cage. The senior try to flip it behind his back. Possession goes to Notre Dame. Conrad Delgado beat the nearest Titan to the ball.
So, Grant, the Notre Dame women's team opened up at 24 goals in their home opener. You wonder if the men are looking to compete with that at 23.
Still plenty of time to tack on to their goal total. That win for Notre Dame women's lacrosse team coming against Central Michigan in their season opener inside Loftus Sports Center. But since then, Notre Dame women's lacrosse has dropped back-to-back games to Michigan and Vanderbilt. Another freshman in the game for Notre Dame, 26 in white, Jalen Seymour. Seymour chasing after the loose ball, able to corral it. Now Seymour lets one fly, and it goes wide. Jake Taylor there on the backup.
Seymour dodged the long pole there. And that's a shot I'm sure he practices often and wants that back.
Emmett Barger working from X. Backing down his defender, putting a shot on net. Well off the mark, but Michael Ridgway is there for Notre Dame. Here's Michael Lynch. Playing another shot on net, and that's going to be a shot clock violation on Notre Dame. They put several shots towards the goal. None of them got on net, though, and Detroit Mercy will take over.
It makes sense. Detroit Mercy decided to double team and put the pressure on Notre Dame, which causes the turnover.
Magic trying to create space. Lets one rip, but it goes well over the net. Grant Petrarca still in net for Notre Dame, their third goalie that's seen action tonight.
The way Magic's able to just stop and go so quickly on a dime makes him dangerous. I know he hasn't scored or played the way he might want to today, but you can see how he can create his own shot.
Magic has 3 goals on the season. All 3 of them came versus Ohio State in the season opening loss to the Buckeyes for Detroit Mercy. But Magic was an All-MAC second-team selection a season ago and was top 3 in assists and points for the Titans. Detroit Mercy has had a tough go of it thus far this evening, but when you're playing a top 5 team in the country, nothing's going to come easy.
And when you're playing away at Loftus with Notre Dame, that adds to it.
Casey Doyle joined the scoring party. 24-2, Irish lead.
Doyle with just the step down, gets the pass. The defender is too late. And the lefty scores his first.
Casey Doyle, the sophomore, native of Maryland, another family affair. Casey Doyle, his brothers Jack and Connor played lacrosse at Notre Dame, as well as his sister Caroline. And his other brother Kevin played lacrosse at Navy. Quite the lacrosse family are the Doyles, as Ben Ramsey puts a shot on net that is denied by Hemi. 2 minutes and change remaining in this game. Notre Dame has been on top since the first minute of the first quarter and have not looked back since. It's a 22-goal lead for Notre Dame. Here's Will Edel. Now Asher Mendel trying to find an opening, puts a shot on net, and it bounces wide. Titans will stay with possession. Edel. Up top for Mendel. And now Erskine sent one on net right at Grant Petrarca, but flagged down and a penalty upcoming on Notre Dame's Ridge Johnson.
Well, we talked about both man-up units for Notre Dame and Detroit Mercy getting their chances to score, but at the same time, the defensive unit being a man down, now they get their reps in, and they're able to gel together.
Notre Dame is going to take a timeout with under 2 minutes to go in this season opener. Really a strong opener for this Notre Dame team that has a 20-goal lead against a Detroit Mercy team that may not be on the same skill level as them across the board, but it's been nearly a flawless effort for the Irish across the board. They've been dominating in the face-off circle offensively, and then especially the goaltenders for Notre Dame. All 3 of them have been strong in net.
There were a few things I was going to keep my eye on tonight, but this one surprised me in the sense that we knew Entenmann is strong, but having backups like Nelson and Petrarca who have shown up continues to show the depth that Notre Dame has.
Magic ripped the shot. It was denied by Petrarca. Ball was loose in front. Magic came up with it again. Now Erskine with it up top. Magic trying to sneak it into Bishop. He does. Bishop's shot is deflected by Petrarca, who falls down on his way back to the net, but Bergmaster applying some strong defense by Notre Dame, and Detroit Mercy turns it over. Under a minute to play. Michael Lynch strolling down the right sideline with it. More seconds on the shot clock than the game clock. Notre Dame could be content to just keep possession and walk this game out. And Michael Lynch is just going to continue to run the final seconds off of this clock. Notre Dame opens the 2022 season with a bang, and they pick up their 20th straight season opening victory. Brian, it was all Irish from start to finish.
Not only do they continue that win streak, they do it in exciting fashion, showing the talent and depth this Notre Dame team has for this season.
14 different goal scorers for Notre Dame. The Irish move to 29-5 all-time in season openers under head coach Kevin Corrigan. For my producer, Doug Thompson, and my broadcast partner, Brian Benedict, I'm Grant Delvecchio saying so long from South Bend, and thank you for joining us. Notre Dame wins it 24-2.